I'm gonna work myself up the job ladder and go from making $10 an hour, $100 an hour, $1,000 an hour, $10,000 an hour, $100,000 an hour, and yes, even $1 million an hour. And I was inspired to do this when I watched Mr. Beast's video about staying in a $1 hotel versus $1 million hotel. But the difference is, as an entrepreneur, I wanna show you what kind of jobs you're currently doing that are $10 an hour jobs and what you should be doing to make a lot more. And also, if you make it to the end of the video, I'll be giving away something very special. All right, so I'm here at my house and the first $10 an hour job I'm doing is checking on the progress. 2 months ago, I decided that I was gonna take over the backyard project management and check on it almost every single day to make sure everyone's doing what they're supposed to do. Now, before I started doing this, all of this was just dirt. There wasn't much going on. And for it to get to this point, I've had to come here multiple times a week and meet different contractors. Now, here's the thing about this job. The actual project management side of picking the finishes and negotiating the prices with contractors is a high-level job. I wanna make sure I'm getting exactly what I want at a good price. But checking to see that these guys are doing what they're supposed to be doing every single day is a $10 an hour task. I could send anyone over here every day to just check on it and make sure. And when I first started out in real estate investing, I was doing these $10 an hour tasks every single day because I was having to check on all my different flips, meet with contractors and all this stuff. But at this point, I try to avoid these tasks at all costs. Another $10 an hour task I do is anything that has to do with me driving around doing errands. So whether I'm picking up lunch, doing some paperwork, or dropping off something, it is a $10 an hour task. So another $10 an hour task we do as entrepreneurs is pay people. Every single day, we are giving checks, people are coming and going, picking things up, and it takes up a lot of time to track it, but it has to be done, but it doesn't have to be you. And lastly, with the hundreds of emails I get every single day, I should pay somebody $10 an hour to clean them up, but right now, I actually do this myself and I go through every single one and delete them because I'm one of those people that cannot stand having any notifications. All right, I'm tired of doing the $10 an hour stuff. Let's progress to $100 an hour now. So I'm coming into my production team's office. Now these guys get paid $100 an hour to do all these cool edits that you guys are seeing right here on the screen now. This is pretty standard across all the different social media channels that we make videos for. So I'm gonna take a stab at editing everything that you just saw before this. In fact, what you just saw was probably my edit. I've got no idea what I'm doing. Let's check out the final product. Let's talk about $1,000 an hour. Now this one is by far the funnest one that I do. And it kind of started out as a crazy idea that I wasn't sure if people were gonna want or not. I started this thing called Golf with Ryan where people could actually go and golf with me. Now I wasn't sure if people would actually do it or not, but I launched it at $2,500 a session with 2 people. Oh man. But anyways, when I launched it on just one Instagram story, we sold over 20 tickets to it. And it was just simply people coming to golf with me for 5 hours, 2 people, $2,500 each. It comes out to $1,000 an hour. Now, since that launch, I ended up raising the price to $5,000 a person, and now we're about to raise it again because the demand is so high for it. And when you actually think about it, it's probably the best deal for somebody who really wants to spend time with me. I don't even offer 1-hour consultations. Everything else I sell is group coaching, so where else could you literally go spend 5 hours and then just get to know each other, have fun, hang out, and get consultation? And in doing it for almost a year now, I've made multiple 6 figures, essentially, as a pro golfer. Now, these golf days have actually made me more than $1,000 an hour because of the relationships I've built. But even if you don't count that, it's $1,000 an hour. Now I'm on the sales floor, and this is where you can start making big money. And because I have so many different businesses, there's lots of ways that we could generate $10,000 in 1 hour. The first could be me closing a seller and getting a $10,000 wholesale fee. It might happen in the first hour that I'm making calls, you never know. On the other hand, I might have to work 10 hours and I get one really big deal that's $100,000. If we go to some of my other companies, we've got coaching programs that we sell for $10,000. If I close somebody on one of those packages, I could make it right there in an hour. And I've even done just straight up consultations at $10,000 an hour. So I'm headed into Javi, my sales manager's office. So he manages all of the sales teams for the various companies. We're looking at Content Empire, which is our newest company. And today we've done $40,000 in sales.
Not bad.
That's really good for a new company. So it looks like this was 4 sales. Okay, so they had to talk to 4 different people. How long did it take to close all 4 people, you think?
Right around 4 hours or so.
Okay, so I mean, that's $10,000 an hour right there with just the sales team, right? So I don't personally close many deals anymore because our sales team is doing it for us. And I mean, they're making 10% on every deal that they close. And 10% is a lot of money for these guys. I mean, these guys made $4,000 today in a few hours of work.
Yeah.
So,
Easy.
I mean, the sales team is super happy about it. And for me, I would rather spend my time generating leads for them to close. Like if I could go generate 10 leads for them to close versus being on 10 hours of calls, we're gonna make a lot more money overall. And the other side of this too is we leverage everything. So like Javi is our sales manager. So he could definitely be on calls himself, and he does occasionally, but his time is better spent managing people, right?
Absolutely. Bringing on new people, onboarding, and just making sure they're closing at a high percentage.
Point is, sales is a really high paying thing, and if you're doing it on your own starting out, it's actually a good thing, especially if you're closing at $10,000 an hour. But as you progress up to these next levels, you've got to start putting your time towards things that make even more than that. So let's talk about how to make $100,000 an hour. Now it's starting to get really hard, because if I could figure out how to make $100,000 every hour, I would just spend every hour of work doing that. I'd be making $1 million a day if that was the case. So it's not often I get the opportunity to make that kind of money, but when we do, we got to capitalize on that hour. So one of the times this is possible is during live webinars. You just saw what Content Empire did today, but recently with the launch of it, I did a webinar with over 100 people attending. And during that hour-long training where I showed them how we create content, how we monetize, and everything else, we had over $100,000 in signups. And this is an example of an hour where I was making $100,000. And truthfully, I don't do this enough. I should be spending more time doing webinars and live trainings like this because number one, they're a good use of my time revenue-wise, and number two, they're just really good for the people that are on the trainings. They get a lot of value out of it, whether they buy or not. So you'll see me start to do a lot more of these in 2023. And even though making $100,000 an hour is really cool, it's not as cool as making $1 million in an hour. Now, if I could work for $1 million once a month, I would be a super happy camper. But as it stands right now, I get to work for $1 million an hour once a quarter. And this happens each quarter when we hold our huge events. And these events are amazing. We get some of the best guest speakers in the world. We have a ton of great sessions, masterminds, parties, networking, and everything. And in fact, our next big event is January 9th through 12th. And I'm gonna be giving away 4 tickets to those of you who are watching this video right now. If you wanna enter, comment below what are some $10 an hour tasks that you're currently doing that you're gonna get rid of. And then tell me what are some of the $1,000 or $10,000 an hour tasks that you should be doing more of. But anyways, during these events, there's a ton of different speaking sessions giving people so much value. And one of those sessions is where I talk about all of our products and services people can buy. And at that last event, during that hour, we sold over $1 million of products. Now, obviously it takes a lot of work to put on an event, but technically during that 1 hour, I did make over $1 million. Now, you probably don't have $1 million an hour job you can do yet, but if you can transition out of doing the $10 an hour task and focus on the higher paying ones, you're gonna start making a lot more money real fast.